One, the illusion of the best version of yourself. The modern concept, what does becoming the best version of yourself really mean? In today's culture of relentless self-optimization, you're constantly told that you must become more productive, more disciplined, more ambitious, more extraordinary. You're encouraged to hustle harder, wake up earlier, plan tighter, and squeeze every ounce of potential out of your day and your soul. This is the modern gospel of self-improvement, a constant striving toward a vague ideal of being your best self. But beneath this polished vision of excellence lies a quiet, insidious rejection, the rejection of who you are now. Implicit in this message is that your current self is not enough, not good enough, not strong enough, not worthy enough. So you must upgrade constantly, fix yourself, polish yourself, push yourself, until maybe one day you will finally be worthy of your own acceptance. This isn't self-love. It's conditional self-worth, dressed in motivational language. And it is exhausting, because no matter how far you go, how much you achieve, the best version will always be just out of reach. There will always be another book to read, another flaw to correct, another level to unlock. This mindset, though sold as empowerment, often becomes another cage, a more socially acceptable one. It turns self-development into self-rejection. It confuses performance with value. It tells you that your worth lies in the becoming, never in the being. Stoic philosophy does not seek perfection, it seeks rightness. The Stoics saw through this illusion over 2,000 years ago. Marcus Aurelius never told himself to be the best version of anything. Instead, he wrote, "Day after day, live as a rational being." For the Stoic, life is not about being extraordinary, it's about being in alignment. Not with someone else's standards, not with society's metrics, but with reason, virtue, and truth. What is right is more important than what is best. Because best is a moving target, subjective, fleeting, culturally defined. But right is grounded, timeless, anchored in nature and logic. To the Stoics, virtue is the only true good. And virtue is not performance. It is presence, it is discipline, it is self-governance. It is acting in accordance with your values, regardless of the outcome and regardless of recognition. Stoicism invites you to stop chasing, to stop comparing, to stop trying to outdo a fictional future self who doesn't even exist. It asks you instead to return to this moment, this breath, this decision, and ask, is this in line with reason, with courage, with justice, with wisdom? You don't have to be the best. You just have to be whole, consistent, grounded, present. That's what it means to be truly alive. And maybe that's the quiet revolution Stoicism offers. Not a life of dazzling achievement, but a life of deep authenticity. Not a frantic race towards some imaginary finish line, but the steady, unshakable practice of living rightly, here and now. You don't need to become some mythic version of yourself. You only need to remember who you are, but beneath all the striving. And who you are, when lived with reason and virtue, is already enough. 2. The Stoic does not wage war on the self. Epictetus, you don't need to become someone else. You only need to master yourself. First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. The modern obsession with becoming more successful, more attractive, more productive, often stems from the belief that who you are now is not enough. But Epictetus offers a quieter, firmer path. Know who you are. Know what kind of person you wish to be. Not in the sense of fantasy or performance, but in terms of principle. Do you want to be calm, just, courageous? Then act accordingly. Not tomorrow, not when you've optimized your habits, now. You don't need to be better than yesterday. You only need to be guided by reason instead of by impulse, fear, or desire. This is not self-improvement through external striving. It is self-realization through internal alignment. It's not about chasing a shinier version of yourself. It's about embodying your values consistently. Stoicism does not ask you to battle yourself into submission. It asks you to reclaim yourself from distraction and return to what you already know is right. Marcus Aurelius, do not betray your nature to imitate someone else. Look within. Within is the fountain of good. Every time you abandon your nature to conform to some external model, some social trend, some productivity cult, some influencer's formula for success, you trade truth for mimicry. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, the source of virtue is within. You are not broken clay waiting to be shaped into something grand. You are already equipped with reason, with a moral compass, with the seeds of good. What you need is not transformation, but remembrance. We are not meant to become impressive. We are meant to become authentic. Stoic philosophy doesn't idolize self-perfection. It calls for self-accord. Not be great, but be real. Live naturally, live simply, live rightly. To be stoic is not to suppress who you are, but to live in a way that honors the rational and virtuous part of your nature. The goal is not to become extraordinary, but to be at peace with your own constitution, your own path, your own place in the universe. Seneca, the endless drive for more is hidden suffering. It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor. We're told that relentless self-improvement is noble, but Seneca warns us, endless craving, even for progress, is a form of poverty, because it never lets you rest. When your inner dialogue is always, I must do more, I must outgrow myself, you create a life of spiritual homelessness. You're always reaching, never arriving, always dissatisfied, never present. The Stoic doesn't reject growth, but they reject the need to grow in order to feel whole. The true mark of maturity is knowing when to say, this is enough, not out of laziness, but out of clarity. Because what matters is not how far you go, but whether the direction aligns with your values. The endless pursuit of improvement can become a disguised form of self-hatred, a polished, praised, even profitable form of suffering. To live stoically is to stop measuring your worth by how enhanced you are. It is to inhabit yourself fully, to live this moment with honesty and integrity, without needing to upgrade it. To the Stoics, the enemy is not stagnation. The enemy is misalignment. And you do not fix that by becoming someone else. You fix it by remembering who you already are and living like it matters. 3. Acceptance is not resignation. Acceptance is not surrender. It's the foundation for wise action. In modern self-help culture, acceptance is often confused with passivity. We fear that if we accept ourselves or our circumstances, we'll become complacent, lazy, mediocre. But this is a fundamental misunderstanding, especially from a Stoic point of view. Stoicism never advocates surrender to despair or indifference. It teaches discernment, to clearly see what lies within your control and what does not. You do not control whether you will become the best version of yourself, because that is an abstract, moving target. What you do control is whether your current behavior aligns with reason, integrity, and virtue. This is where real power lies, not in dreaming of transformation, but in taking ownership of your present choices. Acceptance means I see reality for what it is, not what I wish it were. And from that grounded vision, I act with clarity. The Stoic doesn't accept because they have no ambition. They accept because they know ambition without grounding becomes delusion. And delusion, however beautiful, leads us away from what truly matters, the moral moment at hand. Marcus Aurelius, be yourself, even when the world demands otherwise. Do not waste what remains of your life in speculating about others. Be concerned with yourself. In today's world, it's easy to inherit someone else's dream. You see influencers, authors, thought leaders telling you who you should be, more productive, more disciplined, more alpha, more optimized. But Marcus Aurelius urges us, stop looking outward. Stop living as if your soul belongs to the crowd. When you measure yourself against ideals imposed by society, you abandon your nature. You become a shadow of expectations, a ghost dancing to someone else's music. And that's not growth. That's performance, a kind of psychological slavery, dressed up as self-improvement. The Stoic rejects this masquerade. You don't become free by becoming ideal. You become free by becoming yourself, rooted in clarity, not comparison. The courage to be yourself is not self-indulgent. It is a radical act of independence in a world that profits from your self-doubt. Epictetus, let go of grand expectations. Begin with sobriety and integrity. In the Stoic view, greatness is not an achievement. It is a byproduct of integrity, of self-discipline, of clarity. You don't need to chase some monumental transformation to be worthy. You only need to stop being ruled by impulse, fear, or desire. Epictetus reminds us, don't wait for perfect circumstances. Don't fantasize about who you could be someday. Just begin now, with a clear mind and a firm spirit. The Stoic path does not demand that you become extraordinary. It asks that you be honest, present, principled. True acceptance means you stop needing to outperform others and start focusing on being less dependent on things that do not matter. Every step toward inner freedom is a rejection of illusion, the illusion that your worth depends on titles, praise, achievements, or the approval of others. And in its place, the Stoic builds something far more solid, a life grounded in what you can control: your thoughts, your choices, your character. To accept yourself is not to settle for less. It is to stop chasing shadows and to stand in the light of what is real. The Stoic doesn't reject effort, they reject delusion. And in doing so, they reclaim the dignity of living honestly, moment by moment, as they are. 4. Peace comes when you no longer need to be more. Seneca: comparison is the root of suffering, even when it's with yourself. He who envies others does not obtain peace of mind. The obsession with becoming a higher version of yourself seems virtuous on the surface. It's marketed as ambition, self-growth, or self-respect. But beneath that polished language lies a dangerous habit: constant comparison, not only with others, but with an imagined version of yourself that doesn't even exist. This ideal self becomes a silent tyrant. You begin to see your current self as a failure, a placeholder, a not good enough draft, so you push harder, hustle longer, grind more fiercely, yet peace never arrives. Seneca, with piercing clarity, shows us why. Envy, even when directed inward, corrupts the soul. To always crave a better you is to live in conflict with your present self. And a person at war with themselves cannot find stillness. The Stoic does not reject improvement, but they reject self-hatred disguised as self-help. You don't need to escape who you are. You need to stop making peace conditional on becoming someone else. Marcus Aurelius: the universe does not demand perfection, only that you fulfill your role honestly. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. In a culture addicted to achievement, we've been taught that the point of life is to become exceptional, more efficient, more productive, more admired, more powerful. But Marcus Aurelius offers a radically different message. You are not here to impress the universe, only to live in harmony with it. You do not control the outcome of your efforts. You do not control how others see you. You do not control the path you were born into, but you do control your mind. And that is all you need. The universe does not require you to be perfect. It asks only that you play your part with reason, with virtue, and with dignity. In the Stoic worldview, there's no need to become extraordinary to be fulfilled. There is only the daily choice to act with moral clarity regardless of results. Perfection is a fiction. Integrity is real. And it is within reach right now where you stand. Self-acceptance is the foundation for clear action, not a product of ego or guilt. When you no longer feel the need to be someone, something profound happens. You are free to do what needs to be done without the heavy burden of ego. So much of our behavior is distorted by shame or inflated self-image. We act not from clarity, but from fear of being less or desire to appear more. But when you accept yourself fully, with your limitations, imperfections, and contradictions, you no longer act from insecurity. You stop asking, will this make me better than before? Will this prove my worth? Will this get me ahead? And instead, you start asking, is this the right thing to do? Is this action aligned with my principles? Am I serving the truth, not my ego? This shift is not weakness, it is liberation. A person who acts without self-rejection is calm, effective, focused. They are not easily manipulated by praise or crushed by criticism. They are not trying to become someone. They are simply being, and that authenticity becomes a source of quiet strength. To the Stoic, peace of mind is not earned by endless progress towards some unreachable ideal. It is found in the decision to stop fighting with yourself and to start living from a place of principle. You are not obligated to chase better. You are called to live truthfully. And once you let go of the compulsion to always be more, you begin to experience what most people spend their lives chasing: real peace, inner freedom, wholeness, not through becoming more, but through needing less. 5. Returning to the true self, the art of self-awareness in Stoicism. Epictetus: the journey is inward, not outward. Know first who you are and then adorn yourself accordingly. In the noise of modern life, self-improvement often becomes a frantic race to change, to outperform, to upgrade. But Epictetus offers a radical reversal. Before you strive to become anything, ask first who you are. You are not a project to endlessly modify. You are a person to understand and live truthfully through. Stoic philosophy doesn't ask you to build a better self, but to remove what is false, false expectations, false identities, false ambitions. You are not incomplete. You are merely buried beneath conditioning, ego, and fear. The task isn't transformation, it is uncovering, it is returning. Only when you know what is essential can you live with integrity, and self-knowledge is the gate through which all Stoic strength flows. Marcus Aurelius, each day is a chance to return to simplicity and righteousness. If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. Marcus Aurelius, emperor of the Roman Empire, could have chased greatness in any form: wealth, glory, conquest. But his pursuit was far simpler: to do what is right, to speak what is true. Nothing more. This is not mediocrity, it is moral clarity. Today's world urges you to optimize, to accelerate, to constantly improve. But the Stoic path is subtractive. You don't need to add more skills or statuses. You need to subtract what is dishonest, excessive, and unnecessary. Every day is an invitation, not to climb toward an illusion of perfection, but to return to what is just, rational, and pure. You don't need a 10-year plan to find yourself. You need one honest moment, repeated with discipline. Self-mastery is not complicated. It is the repeated refusal to betray your conscience. Seneca, you are not lacking, you only need to stop assuming you must add more. Begin at once to live and count each separate day as a separate life. The problem with constant self-enhancement is that it delays life. You keep telling yourself, I'll live fully when I'm better, when I earn more, when I become the person I'm supposed to be. But Seneca reminds us, life isn't postponed, it's happening now. You don't need to become a higher version of yourself to deserve peace or purpose. You simply need to start living as if today were a complete life in itself, because it is. Each day contains its own completeness, its own opportunities for virtue, presence, and meaning. To waste it chasing a future identity is to miss the very life you seek. Self-acceptance is not laziness. It is the courage to begin living, not later, not someday, but now. You are not a broken thing that needs to be upgraded. You are a human being who needs to return to the reality of this moment. To the Stoic, true self-awareness is not an ego trip. It's not a journey of becoming more. It's a path of recognizing what already is and acting in accordance with it. You do not need to reinvent yourself. You need to stop abandoning yourself. The Stoic art of self-knowledge is about wholeness, not in the future, but here, in your breath, your choices, your present clarity. Return to yourself, not the version the world expects, not the ideal your ego demands, but the honest, principled thinking self that Stoicism invites you to rediscover. 6. Conclusion. Stoics do not develop themselves. They become quieter and clearer. You don't need to be the best version, only the most awake one. The modern world often equates self-worth with progress, always improving, always optimizing, always climbing. But Stoicism offers a quiet revolution. You don't need to become the best version of yourself. You only need to become more aware, more honest, more grounded, more present. The Stoic does not measure progress by trophies or transformations. They measure it by the rightness of their attitude in each action. Did you act in alignment with reason? Did you resist unnecessary passion, anger, or pride? Did you stay composed when life tested you? That is enough. You don't need to be extraordinary. You need to be ethical. That's the real achievement. And in a world obsessed with external evolution, the quiet inner evolution of Stoicism toward clarity, balance, and dignity is a radical act. Inner peace is not the result of self-improvement. It is the consequence of letting go. Tranquility does not come from becoming more. It comes from needing less. Let go of the need to prove yourself. Let go of the shame of not being enough. Let go of the performance. What remains? A quiet dignity, a steady flame that no longer flickers with external winds. The Stoic doesn't chase peace. They uncover it. It was always there, and beneath layers of comparison, fear, ambition, and insecurity. This is the paradox. You don't achieve self-worth. You return to it. You are already whole once you stop running from yourself. Liberation is not addition. It's subtraction. The Stoic life isn't about becoming someone else. It's about ceasing to pretend. The Stoic truth, you don't need to become anything. You only need to live as a human being. To live well is not to conquer, impress, or ascend. It is to act consciously, to accept wisely, to exist fully, not in a future fantasy, but in the present reality. A Stoic is not concerned with becoming great. They are concerned with being good in the original, timeless sense of the word. Not good in the eyes of others, but good according to nature, reason, and inner truth. That is enough. In fact, it is the only thing that has ever been enough. You don't need to win. You don't need to stand out. You don't need to evolve into some perfected form. You only need to live with clarity, humility, and intention. That's the fullness of life. That's the true Stoic path. Final thought. To the Stoic, life is not a ladder to climb, but a depth to dwell in. Every moment is an opportunity to practice awareness. Every challenge is a chance to practice equanimity. Every decision is a moment to act with virtue. You are not here to upgrade yourself endlessly. You are here to remember yourself and return to what matters: truth, courage, compassion, discipline, inner peace. The Stoic doesn't improve to impress. They let go to be free, and in that freedom they become who they always were.